Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be making something from this piece of birch. That's one piece of a log that I found on the side of the road. But yeah, today we're just going to be using the crotch end of it. So as you can see, I'm just having a look around, just having a look at the defects. Some cracks in the end, see the bark's peeling off in places, but in general it's in pretty good condition. So not quite sure what to make with it. I was thinking that possibly we could make a winged vase or something like that from it, but I don't really have the tools at the moment to do deep hollowing, so I thought I'd play it safe and make a natural edge bowl. As you can see, I'm just measuring up, just trying to find the rough centre ready to mount the faceplate. So I'm using my 3-inch faceplate to hold this piece, and I'm using, I think it was 1¼ or 1.5" screws. They did do the job, they held nice and securely. I'm just using a small forceps bit now just to flatten off the end, just so it's a flatter surface for the tailstock and the live centre to butt up to. So just bringing up the tailstock now. It's just going to add some extra support. Just when it starts spinning, it's still going to be quite unbalanced and the lathe's going to wobble quite a bit. So we're all set up, ready to go. I'm just going to start the lathe up at a slow speed. I think it's around 510 on the middle belt setting for the slowest speed. We're just going to start off with some gentle cuts to start with, just to get a feel for the wood, feel for how it's cutting. Taking extra care when we get to the edge. Obviously we're going to be cutting a lot of fresh air. So extra care not to get any catches. So I'm using my Robert Sorby 3/8 bowl gouge at the moment, just taking my time, stopping and checking every so often and readjusting the tool rest. So I'm not sure of the moisture content of this piece of wood, but it seems quite dry. It's very hard. I have to keep popping back to the grinder to touch up the edge on the gouge. So as you can see, we start to get a rough shape now. There's quite a lot of tear out on the end grain, but we can deal with that later on. Also started to work on the tenon, ready for turning it around and mounting in the chuck. So I've now switched to a 12mm carbide cutter. As I said earlier, the wood's quite hard and I was losing the edge on the bowl gouge quite quickly. Sharpening tools is not my forte. I struggle with it quite a bit, so hoping I'll get on a bit better with the carbide cutter. I'm just working on refining the shape of the bowl now. I'm now switched to a square edge carbide cutter, just creating a bit of a foot and working a bit more on the tenon ready for when we mount it in the chuck jaws. So I'm just using the detail carbide cutter now just to help remove the nub off the end and clean up the bottom of the tenon so it's nice and flat for the chuck jaws. Now creating the dovetail, using the calipers also to get the tenon to the right size for the jaws on the chuck. So I'm back on the bowl gouge. I'm getting quite a lot of chatter from the edges where there's a lot of fresh air. So a lot of bounce there, and I've managed to cut my thumb on the flute of the chisel. And as you can see there as well, it's got a bit of a catch and cracked the wood on the edge there. So I'm happy with the shape I've got on the outside now. I'm just about to attend to some minor cracks. I was going to use some 5-minute epoxy and mix some coloured pigments in just to make something of the cracks, but unfortunately the epoxy resin hadn't arrived in time, so I decided to use the black CA glue. So I use 60 grit sandpaper just to tape back the CA glue. I'm just removing the tailstock now, ready to turn the piece round. So it's all turned round, mounted in the chuck. Just starting the lathe up. I think I'll get it to around 1000 RPM. Using the Robert Sorby 3/8 bowl gouge again to start taking out the middle. So I'll switch back to the 12mm carbide cutter again, just try and hog out as much wood as quickly as possible. Like I've already said, I'm not very good at sharpening tools, so carbide I find a lot easier to work with. Now I'm using the Simon Hope 8mm hollowing tool. I found this quite effective on this piece of wood. I'm just using a small force and a bit to remove the centre, get rid of the slow moving wood. So now the centre's gone, we can get straight back on with the hollowing. Just taking nice steady cuts. I'm just turning their speed up a little bit, probably around 1200 RPM now. So as you can see, it's all hollowed out now. Wall thicknesses are around sort of 10 to 12 now. And I'm just finishing cuts with a Simon Hope shear scraper. I think it's the 23mm cutter. So it's pretty much finished now with shaping and shear scraping. As you probably noticed there, the bark's gone from the outside. I've removed it. I had quite a lot chipping off while I was hollowing out, so I thought it was best just to take it all off. So just starting sanding now. Started with 80 grit and working my way up to 600. So we're all sanded up to 600 grit now, and it's all been cleaned off with rubbing alcohol. Just having a look there, it's not turned out too bad. There's a few little things that probably could have been better, but yeah, as a whole it's come out quite nicely. So as you can see, we've got it turned back round again now, and just using a carbide detail tool just to start gently removing the tenon. As you can see, I'm just cleaning up the foot a little bit to save on some sanding. I'll do this now before I remove the little nub completely. So I've just used a small saw just to cut through the rest of the nub. I'm just removing the tailstock now so I can get the piece off. Break the nub off, and then we'll just use the sanding discs on the drill just to clean up the bottom some more, and then it's ready for a finish. So for the finish I'm using Howard's beeswax and orange oil. It's really nice to work with, doesn't darken the wood too much, and it also leaves a lovely aroma. After putting the first coat on, I normally leave it for a couple of hours to soak into the wood properly, and then I use a clean cloth to wipe away the excess. Once it's dried, I'll then do 3 or 4 coats, same process, put it on, let it soak in, and then wipe away the excess. So there we go, it's all finished. I don't think it's come out too badly. There's probably a few things that I would have done slightly different if I had to do it again. One of which would probably not use the CA glue, maybe some clear CA and rub some sawdust into the cracks. But yeah, other than that, it's not come out too bad at all. Lots of character, really enjoyable piece to work on. So, yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again soon for the next one. Thanks then, bye for now.